Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chris O Show. Whether you're listening or watching on MuskokaUnlimited.com or one of our channels like Spotify or YouTube, or you happen to be tuning in to Your TV Muskoka, wherever you are, wherever you're tuning in, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing our interview today and a little bit of your time with us. So today I have a really wonderful lady. Her name is Sherry Rondeau. She's been around forever. I knew her from way back when I used to work in with Don Smith and What's Up Muskoka Magazine. I remember we used to do stories and whatnot together back then when you were in the real estate game many, many moons ago. And I just want to say welcome and thank you for coming, Sherry.
Thank you for having me.
It's definitely my pleasure. And this is cool because you reached out to me, and we're going to talk a bit about your book. Um, and it's a bit about your journey in helping a loved one through Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's a good timing because it's Alzheimer's and Dementia Month in June. And so I'm really happy you reached out to me. And I always love timely stories. I love heartwarming stories, and I know yours is one of those. So I guess the first thing is let's talk a little bit to us about the book, its title, and what made you write it.
The title of the book is called Dear Braveheart, a caregiver's loving journey through Alzheimer's dementia. And I'd like to point out right here that Alzheimer's is just one form of several types of dementia. So I wrote the book because when my husband and I first started down that path, all of the books and podcasts and TV programs that I researched were pretty clinical. They didn't feel very warm and fuzzy. And I had no idea where to start. I think you sort of go by the seat of your pants when you're beginning.
Yeah.
And so I wrote the book after the fact because I felt that everyday people need to find some easy little fixes to make their days more simple.
Yeah.
So I was thinking this morning, if it appeals to you, that I'd like to show you just a few little household items that anybody at home could find useful.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice for me rather than reading too much from the book because I think, everybody just looks in their junk drawer and they can find things that help at home.
Yeah.
So does that appeal to you?
100%. I think that would be wonderful, Sherry, to share some of those things.
Great. Well, I'd like to start, if I may. I think one of the most difficult things to explain to people is when people's uh, brain networks start to break down for whatever reason, it's hard for people to understand all these words about plaques and amyloids and things that don't mean anything to us.
Yes.
So when I do my presentations, I like to use this little thing, and I think I can see it here, up
There
there.
you go. All right, we see it now.
Good.
Yeah.
Are we here? Okay. This is actually a scientific little item I bought from Minds Alive, but it has where are we? Here we are.
Yeah.
We have two little metal things, one at each end.
Okay,
And
cool.
when I hold one, nothing happens. If you're in a group of people and somebody else takes the other end, this is what happens.
Yes.
So when the connection is broken,
Yeah.
that is a good way for people to understand what's happening upstairs.
Oh, that's
So
actually a really good way. Yeah.
it's pretty simple,
Yeah.
and I've done quite a lot of speaking, and I have people go, that makes sense.
Yes.
So another couple of things that are easily acquired at the dollar store or something are these colored stickers.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we all know that green means go and red means stop and yellow means look out.
Yes.
So you can use these on all kinds of maybe buttons and switches, like light switches on or off.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
also these little, here we are, come along, Sherry. Here we are. These little foil stickers that you can buy in the dollar store.
Yes.
Same thing. If people have tasks that they have to do every day, like take your pills, feed the dog, whatever, you
Yeah.
can use these stickers on a calendar so that when
Okay.
people have done their job, they can put their own stickers on. This would be, in the first 2 or 3 years of a dementia.
Okay.
And actually, my husband really, this appealed to him. And one day it was sort of heartbreaking, but he asked me if I got the gold star or if he got the gold star that day.
Oh,
Because from school days,
yeah,
if we
yeah,
did really well, we got the gold star. So
yeah,
these you can pick up at the dollar store.
yeah.
And also, a very familiar object to us is our TV remote.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard for a lot of people to use them because they're black,
Yeah.
but I've got a couple of stickers here at the top,
Oh, turn on and off. Okay.
on
Yeah.
and off, okay? Because sometimes the ability to read uh, becomes reduced, or
Yes.
maybe eyesight might be affected.
Okay.
And also, I use this for myself, an elastic at the bottom to hold the thing in your hand.
Yeah.
And you will find when you get older, you might need one too.
I
um,
lo- I love. Can we before you keep going? I love the sticker idea. It's an easy colors because colors are still recognizable. Like you said, sometimes words, and I know because I've had some family members go through dementia, so I know, some of this stuff. And you're right, like that. I never thought of that, but that's such a great idea. You put your stickers, like you put maybe a green for when the light switches on, or a red for when it's off, or anything
that's right.
like that, and you use those kind of colors and stuff to signify easy things that everyone is grown up knowing. Red means stop, green means go, like everybody, right? Whether you're
That's
from
right.
when you're 3 years old, you learn those things. Um,
Exactly.
right. And so even when people are dealing with dementia, that they might, like you said, getting the gold star, right, from when they were kids, that green is go and red is stop situation kind of is so inherent in our DNA and our minds that it's easily recognizable right away, right? And I think that's a wonderful tip and trick to help, especially like you said, in those first few years when things are still active and moving around and everything, right? So
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Now, I think this one is going to be a bit surprising to you.
okay.
This looks like, if I can get it up here so you can see,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
ordinary ball of string,
Yes.
which most of us have. At the other end, although it's a bit frayed, there's a loop.
Okay.
Now, you probably would wonder how this would be important, but some uh, fellow caregivers that I was associated with at the time
Yes.
mentioned that if you put this loop end around your loved one's toe, if
Mm-hmm.
you're sleeping in the same bed at night, when that person gets up to move,
Yes.
it tugs on your foot.
Oh, gotcha.
It's like a silent alarm. Who would think?
Ah,
Who would think? But caregivers are very innovative.
you have to
And
be.
when I was associated with the Alzheimer's Society of Muskoka, we had caregiver groups once a month
Mm,
through the Alzheimer's Society, and they were invaluable. That's how people find the strength and encouragement and new
yes,
ideas. Yeah. So this
that's
one,
awesome.
and I hope I'm not going too quickly for you, but I have some things. This
That's
is a
okay.
regular door alarm. Now I'm not going to activate it, but you can
Okay.
see you can see the shape is kind of a wedge here.
Yes.
And then what you do is stick it under the door at night, your front door,
Yeah.
and jam it in and turn it on. And
Yeah.
then when the door opens, this compresses and sets the alarm off,
Okay.
which is terrible. And it gives everybody an awful fright.
Yes.
But one of the curiosities about people who have dementia, and sometimes they're inclined to wander,
Yes.
is that they can unlock the door in front of them. So it's also a good idea to have a lock or a jam at the
Yes.
top,
Okay.
because the inclination for most of us is not to look up to unlock the door, it's to
Yes.
open the
Just right
knob
in the
right in
front.
front of
Yeah.
you. That's right. That's right. So some friends of mine who are currently caregivers have told me that there's an app on their phone that you can use to follow your loved one around the house.
Yes.
There's also the old-fashioned medic alert bracelets.
Oh,
You
okay.
can, yep, this is just a simple one,
Yes.
but you can also register the name of your loved one with the OPP,
Yeah.
have a wandering persons registry.
Yeah.
And for people who are still driving, you can put a tracker on that person's car. It sounds like you're creeping them, but at the
You're
same
not.
time, if they get in the car and drive off,
Yeah.
who knows what time of day or night, or sometimes they don't even know where they're going,
Exactly.
activate that tracker.
Yeah,
So
and but those are good tips because it's a way of using technology that we have around us.
exactly,
I love the door stop door alarm. I love that. That's a great idea because there have been many stories of people wandering outside, especially when they start thinking I get like maybe they're with for some people who don't know, sometimes with dementia people will revert back to their childhood, like Sherry mentioned, the gold star, but even more so where they actually are thinking about the times they played with their friends at the creek, and they might be going outside to meet their friends at the creek because their mind is in that space right now. And
that's
that's
correct.
why they wander. And so Sherry's not saying you got to keep them locked up and trapped. It's just that there's certain times a day you might like at 1 in the morning, they might all of a sudden start thinking about, oh, remember that time I was fishing with dad at and then start trying to go to fish with dad at 1 in the morning. So those are the times that Sherry's talking about using these techniques, and whatnot at the appropriate times to do things that's fun, but the inappropriate times like middle of the night and when it's not safe is what Sherry's talking about. Just for anyone who might be like, oh, what are you doing trapping them in their home? So
It's really just for safety purposes.
yeah.
And I don't have it handy, but familiar to a lot of people are those pendants that you wear around your neck to push the alarm button.
Yes.
And when that alarm goes off, of course, the police and first responders are on the doorstep. They usually try and check first, see if the person's all right.
Yeah.
And sometimes dementia patient might inadvertently push the button. They'll
Oh,
look at
okay.
it and think, oh, what's this? So I'm going to push this and see what happens.
Yes.
So a really quick story is one time I was in real estate out in Lake Base, and 45 minutes or an hour from Bracebridge. And my neighbor phoned and she said, you better get home quick. And I said, what's going on?
Yeah.
She said, there's 5 police cars in front of your house. And we were living in a condo at the time. So, of course, they, went in, a
Yeah.
couple upstairs, a couple on the main floor, and the others downstairs. And when they burst out of the patio door onto the back deck, there was my husband wielding an axe.
Oh
Now,
no.
he was chopping wood, minding his own business.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can but you can imagine how the police officers felt. I mean, was this a danger? Was this
Yes.
somebody who was really in trouble?
Yes.
Um, but I found the first responders were very forgiving. They know what's going on,
Yeah.
and we're very lucky to have such great services in Muskoka.
Yeah, and you're right. And we're lucky to have people like you said in Muskoka who are kind of a little more like, oh, there might be an innocent thing to this. Let's try and figure out what's going on, right? And
Yeah,
and your husband was just he was just chopping wood.
yeah.
he was
Who knew?
he's probably like, what's all the fuss about?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's fun. That's a funny story though.
Oh,
At
that
least at least it
I'm
was a
glad.
well,
I'm glad you think it's funny.
I'm sure the
Um,
neighbors didn't. I'm sure you didn't at the time.
well, they knew, of course, because sometimes there are irrational behaviors that
Yes.
don't make sense to neighbors unless they're apprised of the situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um, I have a couple of tiny things
Oh, sure.
to show you.
Nice.
Um, the first one, of course, we've all heard. If I can find it. No. Yes, we've all heard of people needing to have quiet time to unwind at night.
Yes.
whether we're working or young or old, going to bed quietly is very important. And so many years ago, this is an old fashioned plug in mic on a wire. You can
Yeah.
plug it into your CD player, put it under the pillow,
Yeah.
and you can play relaxation music or
Okay.
meditations that help the person, feel more calm,
Yes.
because agitation is a huge part of dementia.
Yes.
Um, I always believed, Chris, that the person is in there and they're trying hard to get out. It's a
Yes.
terrible, terrible situation. And my husband was a creature of habit, and one of his evening rituals was to say his prayers before bed.
Nice.
And one night we were into, I think, our fifth year, and I always went upstairs when he was ready. He would call down and say, either come or I'm ready. And I would go up and help him get ready for bed. And one night he sat there very perplexed and he said, I can't remember the words to my prayers.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
imagine if you've been raised as a child
Yeah.
saying your prayers. So, of course, being a smarty pants, I found in my car the next day, this is just a little battery operated
Yeah.
recorder
I
that
used
I
to have
use.
those. Yeah.
You probably, well, everybody has them on their phone now too.
Yeah. I
But
still have this one.
okay, there we are, same, same. So what I did was I recorded he did remember them,
Yeah.
not that night, but I did record his prayers. And then
Nice.
I said to him, if you ever forget, we can put this on and it will help you get
Remember.
through. So these
Oh,
are
nice.
simple, simple little things.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to be technology overwhelmed. Just look around your house and see what might be there to help.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. I like that, all these little tips and then some other tips I've heard over the years is, reading letters or, talking about, sharing certain things that have been experienced over the years to kind of just spark some memories and spark some thoughts that might be there and during conversations when someone's not remembering something, maybe certain keywords, right? It just and like you said before, everyone's different and there's lots of different types of dementia. And
Exactly.
so it's like everyone's going to be dealing with a different one. But these are
Exactly.
great tips for almost every kind because, wandering is a big thing for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Like we went over, forgetting things that they knew from when they were a kid, like words to the prayers is a very common thing, right? And
Yes.
so things like that, and the alarms and like all that stuff is or I love the tying the toe. That's my favorite one. But those are all ones that anybody might deal with, almost anybody might deal with, right? So I love that you came up with these tips. And are they in the book? They're in the book, right? You put
Yes.
them in the,
Yes.
okay, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I,
Awesome.
I have one more funny one to show you if you have
Okay, yeah.
time. Okay. So, Christmas bells.
Yes,
Everybody has some kind
it's
of
true.
bells in their tote box or in the basement. I use these because my husband would wander at night, and we had a second story condo, and he, he didn't know where he was. So
Yeah.
I had a baby gate, got a baby gate, which I didn't know anything about except for puppies. But
Yeah.
anyway, it worked. I put it up in the hallway to as a barrier before the stairs because you
Yes.
don't want to take
No,
a
no,
hit or
exactly.
something at night. And I put it up about chest high because you don't want to put it at floor level because a person might trip over it
Yes.
and take a header. And I hung these on the baby gate. So the
Oh, nice.
first reaction would be yes, and then the
Yeah.
second one is, my God, what's that?
Yes.
But by that time, they've been jolted back into either turning around or the caregiver is awake and it's
One or
time to
the
go
other. Yeah.
rescue.
Yeah.
So it's been a fun time for me learning all these things, especially from fellow caregivers.
Yes.
Everybody's got little methods. Yes.
But that's awesome. And that's the one thing I find too with with dementia caregivers, especially, and Alzheimer's caregivers, especially, is they like to share with each other. They like to
Yeah,
support each other. They're
yeah.
happy to provide that kind of, hey, try this or try that, or I'm
Mhm.
here for you. Do you just want to have a coffee and talk? Because
Exactly.
I might have gone through something you're dealing with, right?
Exactly.
So,
Hmm.
and is that kind of like why you decided to write the book? Is like all these little things that you picked up that you just wanted to, I know you wanted to make it a little simpler for people to understand because all the old books are full of jargon and scientific words.
Yeah,
But it was also to be part of that, to help that community of people going through the same thing as you.
exactly. Just after my husband passed, I had joined the Muskoka Authors Association because
Yes.
I had a lot of stuff in my head. I used to do a lot of oh, kind of calming myself down at night after my husband was in bed because everything is just a terrible jumble. And when I went to the first workshop, it was about memoir writing. And the instructor suggested that if we visualized the old fashioned granny squares that people
Mhm.
crochet, every story that you have, write it out or type it out. And when you have all these stories together, visualize them crocheted into a big blanket. And
Nice.
that's how I got started. And
Very
then,
nice.
because it was an easy way for me to think about it instead of starting a big manuscript, which I'd
Yeah.
never done. So that was the purpose of it, was making things easy for people. And there's the cover of the book,
Oh,
which
beautiful.
I was so thrilled because that's one of my own photographs, which
Yeah.
was really special for me.
Oh,
And yes, and as you know, the book was published in 2022
yeah.
by Crossfield Publishing in St. Mary's,
Yeah.
Ontario. It's available on Amazon, Indigo, some local bookstores, but if they don't stock it, they'll certainly order it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And great opportunities like you offered me to share the news.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And like you said, it's a good time with Alzheimer's month coming for June and being here for June. It's a great time to just share stories like yours. Remind people there's a nice book out there with some wonderful tips and someone else's journey that you might relate to help you feel not alone.
Yes,
The Alzheimer's Society is there for support and help,
absolutely.
right? And there's a ton of people going through the same thing as anyone, especially with the caregivers, right? Because
Yes,
it's and you can speak to this a little bit because we still got a few minutes left, so you can speak to this a little bit. But there is, as much as there's that love that you have for your partner and you want to be there, and I commend you for you doing what you did, which was take time away from your own personal life and goals to be there for your husband, and I think that's amazing. But I think that everyone, there's a tremendous amount of pressure and stress that people go through when they're a caregiver, right? And there's
yes.
an emotional toll. And can you speak a bit to some things that you might have done to help you kind of you know balance out all that?
I think at the time, honestly, I didn't realize the toll it was taking. I'm a very traditional person. I believe that, your wedding vows or your vows to your partner are set in stone.
Mhm.
And it was the Alzheimer's Society that tried to instill in the members that look after yourself,
Yes.
which, you give, 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 and then you get tired and feeling hopeless. And I think one of the most important things to remember is that this is a temporary assignment. It's not going to last forever. And hopefully, the person that you're caring for would do the same for you.
Mhm.
Ideally, not always,
Yeah.
um, and I wanted to mention quickly that in the book, it's a very easy read. There's lots of chuckles there. There's a few snuffles and a little bit of tears, but only because people seem to relate well to it. And
Yes.
it's also on audiobook right now. It's just been released.
Oh, awesome.
So on Google Play, I think it's called Audio Play or something like that.
Yeah, the Google
Anyway,
Play has the audiobooks on there. Yeah.
that's the one. That's
Yeah.
the one.
Awesome. So if you don't want to read it, you can listen in the car.
That's right. That's
Right?
right.
You
Yeah.
know, you can get it and you can put it on while you're on a long trip, or while you're doing stuff around the house, you can have the audiobook on too, right?
Well,
So
it's a very private journey. It's
yeah.
very private. You can't discuss things with the person you're caring for because, after the first 3 or 4 or 5 years, they're beyond discussing.
Yes.
And I think if I had one recommendation, it would be don't argue. Don't fight.
Oh,
Just
gotcha.
press the mute button in your own brain and
Yeah.
divert to something else because they're so terribly frustrated and enraged
Mhm.
sometimes that it's just too difficult for people to try and sort out an argument or even kiss and make up. Just,
Yeah.
don't argue. Just be peaceful as you can. You can tear your hair out in private
Yes.
or cry in the shower, but
Yes.
don't fight. Don't fight.
I think that's great advice, because, and that's advice that, like, I've even heard from other, professional health professionals and other caregivers who have gone through it, is almost let them ride out whatever the situation is.
Yes,
Because there's, at that point, you can't reason at that point. It's
exactly.
better to just let it ride out, try and be patient, try and let it, go as much as you can without, anyone being in danger, right?
Of course.
And don't make it worse by arguing, right?
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and then you can move on from there. Well, Sherry, our time is 9. So um I just want to say thank you so much for sharing a bit of your stories, sharing a bit of your tips. And everyone that's listening, whether, like I said, you're watching on your TV Muskoka, or you're at muskokaunlimited.com, or any of our Spotify or YouTube, wherever you're watching and listening, thank you for listening. And don't forget, pick up Sherry's book, and it's
Thank
Dear
you.
Braveheart. And pick it up. It's Amazon. There's Google Play Audio, like we just mentioned. There's local bookstores, and there's Indigo Books. So pick it up. So Sherry, thank you so much,
A pleasure.
and good luck with everything. And we'll talk to everybody soon. Ciao for now, all. Ciao for now.
Bye. Thank you.